As an educator with no video experience, when I started making educational videos, it was really difficult for me to figure out what I needed to do to make good educational videos. Now, the definition of good educational videos varies widely, and its implementation is very much up for debate. However, from my experience making these videos and observing their use by learners, as well as collaborating with people formally trained in video, I have come up with a number of tips and tricks that I wish I'd known from the very beginning. So that you don't have to flounder like I did, I'm sharing these tips and tricks. You may already know some of them, but hopefully there will be others that will really help you in your creation process. Creating any video happens in 3 stages: pre-production, or the planning stage, production, or the filming stage, and post-production, or the editing stage. Let's start with what you should keep in mind during pre-production. Video doesn't have to be just a copy of an in-person presentation. There are many things you can do with video that you can't do as well in an in-person presentation, and vice versa. For example, using video, you can demonstrate a large piece of equipment or a dangerous experiment, explore a faraway place, or portray a microscopic process that happens over time. Make sure to take advantage of the benefits of your medium. Also, video is not always the right choice when you're deciding how to convey information. Ask yourself, is it the correct choice in this case? Am I presenting my material in a more engaging, clear, or easy-to-follow manner by making a video? Would a PowerPoint or document with text and graphics do the job just as well? What about an interactive formative assessment? Making good video takes more time and resources than a good static document or assessment. So if there's not a good reason to choose video, consider not. Keep your videos short by planning out subtopics that you can talk about concisely. Think twice before making a video longer than 10 minutes. On the other hand, arbitrarily chopping up video in a way that breaks up the storyline may be more detrimental than posting a 12-minute video. If you have data about how your students engage with your video, follow the lessons derived from those data. Engagement patterns do vary widely from course to course. For teaching videos in particular, it can be useful to go over the learning objectives for the video at the beginning of the video, and then revisit at the end and ask the learners to reflect upon whether they have met the objectives. This can help them retain what they have learned, and also determine whether they need to go back and review parts of the video. For accessibility purposes, avoid making references to images or objects on the screen as this or that, with only a visible pointer or highlight. Rather, take the time to briefly verbally describe what is being pointed at. Rather than, this is bigger than that, consider, the X is bigger than the Y. Next, let's talk about text. For on-screen reading, use a simple sans serif typeface. Make sure your font size is large enough to be easily readable on a variety of devices. Keep in mind that your audience may well be viewing your video on a phone or a tablet. Don't put any words on the screen that you don't want your audience to be reading. Consider making text appear as it is addressed or highlighting it in some way to attract the audience's attention as it is discussed. If you must have a block of text on the screen, make sure it is something that you actually need your audience to read. Then, don't read it to them. Rather, stop talking and give them sufficient time to read the text, or advise them to pause the video while they read. If you don't provide this time, the audience will be forced to choose whether they listen to what you are saying or read what's on the screen. And either way, distraction will cause them to lose out on what you are communicating. Also think about accessibility options, which I'll discuss further in a minute. When choosing colors to use in your video, consider aesthetics and branding, color blindness, blues and yellows are good, cyan is bad, other colors become murky browns to colorblind people. If you are using a number of colors, vary their saturation and darkness to make them distinguishable from each other. How colors show up in your desired medium. On a screen, where you should define your colors in RGB. On a printed page, where you should define your colors in CMYK. Or on a projector, where bright greens and yellows can be hard to see. Now that you've planned out your video, let's talk about the production stage and post-production when you edit and post your video. Audio quality is the most important aspect of making a video seem professionally made. Consider investing in a good microphone, take steps to limit background and white noise, and don't fidget, click your mouse, or flip pages audibly while recording. put your phone and your computer on silent, not vibrate. You can record a small segment of your audio, like a couple of sentences, and then listen to your recording to determine if it is of acceptable quality before recording the whole thing. When possible, audio should be run through a high-quality noise reduction algorithm, such as that available in Adobe Audition. Also, modulate the volume of your recording either during recording or in post-processing, such that the audio is a comfortable volume to listen to on computer speakers and using headphones. In technical terms, if your recording program shows you decibel levels, the loudest parts of your speech should be about -6 decibels, and you should make sure that during recording you are not going over 0 decibels, as the microphone can't capture something that loud, and the recording will be very uncomfortable to listen to. Also, it is a common verbal practice to lower your volume towards the end of a sentence. Pay attention to your volume, and try to keep it constant all the way to the last word. A peculiarity of audio and video is that you need to emote more. If you talk with the same level of emotion and emphasis as you would in person, you will seem a bit wooden. If you're reading a script, think about reading a storybook to a small child. Emphasize words, vary your tone and pacing, and let your enthusiasm shine through. If you're on camera, make eye contact and use your facial expressions, even though you're looking at the business end of a camera and not someone's face. When you're filming video yourself, always film in landscape orientation. Modern video has a 16:9 ratio of width to height, which is referred to as widescreen. Filming your video in full screen, which is less wide than widescreen, will make it look a little outdated and also not fit your audience's screen as well. When you have the time, consider doing more than one take. It is difficult to get things just right on the first try, even if you scripted out every word. And finally, let's end on a discussion of accessibility. When you post your video, make sure to also post any additional things that learners with auditory or visual disabilities will need to get the full benefit of your video. If you use significant amounts of on-screen text within your video, consider posting this in a screen reader accessible format, like a text document. Also, be sure to provide closed captions so that people with auditory disabilities can follow along. Now that you've heard my video tips and tricks, go watch an educational video, ideally one you've made yourself, and see if you can identify parts where one or more of these tips would have changed how the video was made. Do you think this change would have been an improvement? If so, keep that in mind for the next video you create.